Hey everybody, and welcome to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. This is our WWE Elimination Chamber preview show. Now that there is only 4 matches and a Grayson Waller effect advertised for it, we are going to talk about a few other news stories before that we get into that. The big news story was this past weekend, RevPro. Will Ospreay had his final, well, for now, his final independent match before he heads off to AEW at the High Stakes pay-per-view, which was overall a phenomenal show. I think one of the best indie shows that I've ever witnessed. Watching it on TV, not being in person, but just sitting there watching it, match after match. Some of the matches were, they would have stole the show any pay-per-view, any promotion. So Corey is here with us again. Everybody knows Corey's face now. He's been smashing it. If you're watching Irish wrestling, if you anything to do with Fightful and Irish wrestling, Corey's the man. If you want to be interviewed by Corey, reach out to Corey. He will interview. If you've got something to talk about, Corey's the man to talk about. If you're in the Irish wrestling or the UK wrestling scene, if you are in RevPro or anywhere else and you want to air your grievances, get on to Corey on Fightful. You'll be on overbooked in no time. So Corey, how are things anyway? How are you getting on?
Going well. A lot of interviews, a lot of transcriptions, a lot of writing, but wouldn't have it any other way, as you know.
Yeah, and your voice is okay now because you've been doing so many interviews. Now your voice is just like, what the hell is going on?
I'm not. I'm a talkative person, but yeah, just doing so much of them lately. I think my body was just like, right, you might want to slow them down a little, but I'm not going to slow them down too much. So
Yeah,
we'll
well,
see
it's
how
good,
that
like,
goes.
because you're talking to so many people. You're like, am I asking the same questions to different people? Is it the same interview, just worded differently? So it's when you're doing so many, it's hard to differentiate what you're talking
Yeah,
about. They've all been completely different, which is a hard skill to master at the start.
I just kind of want to give these guys and gals, Debbie, of course, and just that extra push because at the end of the day, like there's so many promotions in the US that independent wrestling is just it's thriving there, it's thriving
Yeah,
here as well. But it's the main sites over in the US don't really give the coverage that the scene I think deserves. So I'm
yeah.
trying to just get everyone's feelings, just talk to people. Like the man like the Reese just coming back from GCW. He just had a surprise appearance, I believe it's Soft Pro last
Yeah.
at the weekend as well. So just really enjoying talking to these talents and just finding out more about them and sharing that with people has been really, really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's an important thing to be doing because, like you said, the US gets so much media coverage. There's so many companies out there, media like with Fightful and other
Yeah,
covering all the promotions over there. So this side of the world gets put by the wayside. But
yeah.
after this weekend, RevPro just showed the world what they're missing out on by not covering it.
I think if you hadn't watched Rev Pro event before that event, even if you're from the US or anything, I cannot see how you wouldn't fall in love with the
Mm,
promotion and how it was presented, everything about it. There wasn't a single thing on that show that I
yeah,
would have said, they could have done that better because it was just very well booked. It was everything presentation wise, it was brilliant. Orange Cassidy popping up was
yeah,
something that absolutely like I just had a big grin on my
yeah,
face
yeah,
because it was just such a nice addition and something that fans have wanted out of that international championship for so long.
yeah. It's
So
been a while
and
since
he
it's been defended over here. Yeah.
Yep, and he had a nice little exchange with Richard Holiday in that match, and that's something that
Richard,
really
that's
piqued my heart,
yeah,
my
Richard.
interest.
I wasn't familiar with Richard Holiday at all before that match, and now I want
Yeah,
to see more of. I want him to be everywhere because he looks, he's a
yeah,
big dude. Like he's a phenomenal athlete. Like,
absolutely. And everyone in that match had their moment to shine.
mm,
What I believe is Cameron Kai. He was absolutely phenomenal.
yeah,
He absolutely blew me away, and he didn't have a lot to do in that match.
yeah,
But when he did, he shone so brightly, and that was the case for a lot of people on this card.
yeah,
They just shone on a card that was getting more eyes because of the main event, because of Ospreay. It's that kind of ripple effect down the card
yeah.
where people are just like, I want to show these people what I can do.
Well, they had
So.
They had to, like, because
Yeah,
knowing what the main event was, they know it was going to be something special. Like, so you don't want to be in the first, you can't be in the first match and everybody's forgotten about you. You want people to be talking about you. So having, Orange Cassidy show up and having all these guys, I
yeah,
know Flash Morgan Webster has had, has plenty of time, plenty of experience in the US, and uh Erie, everybody knows how good he is. So the rest of
yeah,
the lads like Spike Trevay and Samuels and people like that, to get a chance to shine, knowing that they're live, it's a live show. It's not, it's not on a national
yeah.
TV. It's not a pay-per-view on box office kind of thing. It's their own live feed from their own
Yeah.
on-demand service, which I'm not sure is that the first time they've done a big live show on their on-demand.
I'm not sure myself, but it's something that I'm very interested in. I'd be very interested to know the numbers of subscriptions that went
Yeah,
up this weekend, not just before the show, but after the show, because
yeah.
it was
People want to watch what happened.
for me, the money that I paid for the subscription service was
Yeah,
paid back to me before the main event even went on. That's the crazy thing to me.
yeah,
And then you add on that the main event alone would have been worth it as well for me.
yeah,
And that's the thing with good independent wrestling. Like when they get the presentation behind them, they have the funds to put this out there for more
yeah,
people to watch. It's just more people getting introduced to this talent, this scene, like the British wrestling scene. Ospreay said it. It's the same kind of thing that is over here in Ireland. Over in the US, you walk into schools
yeah,
when when you turn 18. Over here, it's always been harder. It's always been like the School of Irish Wrestling. And now, yes,
yeah,
it's churning out some absolute great talent.
yeah.
But we
But
didn't, 10 years ago, we didn't have stuff like that.
yeah, even at that, like Joe had his own podcast last week, and he mentioned that their
Yeah,
location right now, they're leaving their location because of the rent. Like it's
yeah,
it's it's not set in stone. You don't just have a building and that's your building, that's your school.
yeah,
It's not like you build a school and that's the school for the town kind of thing. With normal schools,
yeah.
this is they have to go and search for locations to do their training. And
That's the thing. Like it's not easy over
no,
here
not
by
at
any
all.
means. So so for those guys who were on the undercard of that show and girls, sorry, Danny Luna and
Oh,
Sapphire Reed, absolute that was a great match as well. Alex
phenomenal.
Winter, and I
Yeah,
love the post match angle. That's
yeah,
something that I want to talk about. Though I liked how they presented it.
yeah,
Danny Luna goes backstage. They're about to pass on to the next match. No, it just going through the motions. Then you start hearing the banging, and that
yeah,
was so well done for me because
yeah.
I was like, "What's going on?
I thought
What?"
some speaker had blown up or something, or some electrical.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh shit.
and then she comes out with the Alex Winter comes out with
Like,
the chain around Luna's
yeah,
neck, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense."
yeah,
That
yeah, yeah,
yeah, trying to get a chain around a human being's neck, yeah, that'd make those kind of noises. But it was absolutely like that's the thing. Like on an independent show, that is such a good post match angle to
yeah.
run for me
Absolutely.
because obviously it's a revenge angle for
Yeah.
Alex,
Mm-hmm.
and Luna had just had her title shots, and I think everyone knows how good Danny Luna is at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
She's killing no matter where she goes. So I'm looking forward to that rematch
Yeah.
as well.
But as you said, like if people in America are only watching it, and it's their first time
Yeah,
watching it, and they didn't know anything about the backstory with Alex and Danny, like they're now
they get it.
they're now what's happening next with them because they don't know the backstory, but they can go back and watch it on demand now whenever they want.
Yeah,
But they have that angle where, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I want to go and see the next show or what's going to happen next. But with Sapphire Reed, if they didn't, like, I wasn't too familiar with Sapphire Reed. I heard her name about, but I'd never
yeah,
seen a match of hers. Now I want to see more of her. So you have three women there who are now people you want to keep watching.
yep. That's exactly how I felt. That's how I felt pretty much about every match on that
Mm,
card. There was a name or who I wasn't exactly um too familiar with, and I feel like I've absolutely done a disservice to this talent by not knowing about them because they are so unbelievably good.
mm.
Like the whole show, every match had someone that I genuinely will. I'm looking forward to seeing what
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do next, like and what they can reach because there was a lot of young people on that card as well. Like it's all young talent
yeah.
for the
Young blood.
most part, and and I have to say, other than the main event, JJ Gale and Luke Jacobs, any other night would have had the match of the night. Any other night of the
Oh,
year, any other show of the year, they were getting match of the night. that's how good Luke Jacobs and JJ Gale was to me.
Yeah.
They had one mistake early on where JJ went for the moonsault off the barrier.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a barrier.
It's a barrier.
It's not going to act like a rope. So they recovered from that very quickly, and then from then on, it was just everything was. It was just. I was sitting here with a big ass grin on my face because I love those kind of matches. I love how Luke Jacobs wrestles. I love that JJ Gale came at him with just as much like aggression and stiffness in the strikes and everything. It was just one of those matches that really just had me kind of just wanting more from them. And I think we've seen Luke Jacobs quite a bit over in OTT.
OTT, he's just a powerhouse. Like, he mightn't be the tallest. You know, in the match they look like they were. You know, it's I won't say it's a big meaty man slapping man meat, but they are still big dudes,
stocky dudes. The way JJ
moves, Jesus Christ,
for a man his size, the way he moves,
crazy.
It's one of those things where just his agility has been combined with his strength, and it's just when you have that combination, it just creates this athlete that really. You can't really just look at that athlete and say anything but good things about him, because even when he made that mistake early on, again, it's a mistake that can happen to literally anyone. It's a risky thing to pull off. So that match made me I'd always known Luke Jacobs was a guy who's going to go far because he's just an absolute. I don't see anything wrong with anything he does. He's brilliant. His post-match promo as well was very good as well, and very intense. And to be honest, I'd love to see him in Japan. I really would love to see Luke Jacobs go to Japan for a little while.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't been already.
I'd say they want him. If they don't want him, I'd be shocked, because the matches he could have with some of the top talent over there, like the strong style, like Ishii. Ishii would that would be absolutely phenomenal. But just going back to the match itself, like I really didn't see a part of that match that I really would change, because it was just two young lads absolutely tearing the house down, and the crowd got into it very quickly, which helped a lot as well. The crowd, by the way, we have to talk about the crowd. Absolutely
crazy,
phenomenal.
Wasn't it? It was like they were like, 2,000 sold out, and it sounded like there was 100,000 in there. You couldn't tell the difference. They were so loud.
The mics were literally struggling with the noise, which is always a good sign. But just wow from Luke Jacobs and JJ Gale.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, you know, again, I don't care about ratings and stuff like that, but if the powers that be that watch this show, I hope they watch the whole show, and you know, they give these boys the credit they deserve, because
absolutely
these boys, you know, this kind of show is the kind of show that gets people noticed properly, like, and you know, people are going to be clamoring for the attention, you know, try and sign these guys.
At the end of the day, Tony Khan was there.
Exactly,
he was there. We all know he was there. We all saw him. He was shown broadcast. And one thing that I really thought about during that show is that man is literally just a fan. Just what I don't understand. People don't understand this. If this man was running AEW, he'd just be going to these events anyway, because he loves wrestling.
Yeah.
So I get why people think he's a bit much, he's a bit obnoxious and so on, but that kind of was very endearing to me, just seeing the camera just angles from the crowd, just literally chanting that for Ospreay, like, just, and so just that whole card, like, moving on a little further. Obviously we had Anthony Ogogo and Ricky Knight Jr. That was a fun match as well. Very, very fun finish as well for me. Don't try and box the boxer. That was another match that was really fun. I don't know why Anthony isn't being used more in AEW. He's very good. He is very good, and he has that boxing pedigree that you can see even in wrestling.
Like, he never really recovered from that Cody thing, that weigh-in and everything happened after that. You know, he's never really come back from it. I know he came to Ring of Honor, or did he?
He's been on a couple of, I think he was on a Ring of Honor tape recently, but he really should be on TV more, even if it's on Rampage, even if it's on Collision. Just get him on TV, because he's very, very good at what he does. Even for someone with his experience level, he's very good. And to be honest, you can never have enough of these athletes that transition over. You can never have enough of them. It adds legitimacy, whether people want to admit it or not. It does. Like he is a very, very, very successful boxer.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
the same way.
even if they wanted to reintroduce him, like as not as a manager, but as a heater for some
Yeah,
heel, like, and
yeah.
every week he's
Give him the
KOing their
warlord
opponent,
treatment.
but like
Yeah,
let
give
him
him
KO people for somebody else, somebody like
one punch.
one
Yeah,
punch. Yeah, but like if he's not a manager for somebody, but he's on the outside for some heel,
an
and
enforcer. Yeah,
he's the enforcer and he's knocking out the opponents, and the lads getting the pin, and eventually they tell a story between those two, and he turns on him,
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. It's tale as old as time in
Yeah,
wrestling.
it's
So
easy,
it's
easy
not
way to
hard.
introduce him.
I know that AEW has done that a couple of times, but sure, if it isn't broke, don't try and fix it. Like
Yeah,
give him the opportunity at least, because he's a
mhm.
decent talker as well.
Yeah,
Even for like obviously a lot of big guys don't have the charisma that you really need from them, but I feel like he does. I feel like
I
he
think
absolutely does. He is naturally charismatic when he does speak. And yeah, the Cody stuff was a bit, but like you can't just hold that against him. Like
no, no,
Cody, there's a
no.
reason Cody doesn't have creative control in WWE. As much as we all love him, he didn't. He did have a couple. He's not best booker from his own stuff, but I do. I obviously I love Cody, but that's my opinion on that. Hopefully, I don't get a bit of hate for saying that, but yeah, that match was very fun as well. And Ricky Knight Jr. was very fun as well. The shithead heel, he's very good at doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So again,
Um,
just
just to go back on before we go on any further, just want to mention the Mustafa Ali and Robbie X
oh
match.
yes, 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 yes. Very fun match.
That was so fast. That I know we've seen Robbie X a few times over here. He's been over
Yeah,
here a lot, and he recently won the RCW X Division title, so he's now Robbie X Division
yeah.
in Cork. But Jesus, he really held his own. He really showed off again. That's king of the cruiserweights.
It's like Mustafa said, like the minute he was offered the match, he
Yeah,
said he wanted it, and I don't blame him because their styles were perfect for each other, and it was a very
so
fun
brilliant.
match. I don't think Robbie will be looking forward to facing him again because of the thing about being bald, but
Can you do that?
that would Ali is just this character is just showing that like I do not understand how WWE couldn't figure out how to book him because like he's been perfect since
How
leaving.
how
Everything,
the old guard couldn't figure out how to book him. The new guard,
yeah.
mm,
Again, he should have been doing more. If this gimmick that he's doing now, he wanted to do it in WWE, and I
I
get why
know,
they
yeah.
turned it down at the time, but it feels like now one of those big things where it's like, why didn't you just let him give it a go for a couple of weeks? Just try it.
I have a feeling that it won't be long till we see him back in WWE again.
I think he's either by the end of this year he'll be signed somewhere. I think he's going to get this world tour done, and
Hmm.
then he's going to sign. And when he's signed somewhere, wait, this is what I think. This is a brilliant game plan that he's following because I don't think for sure he is going to sign somewhere, but I think by the end of the year he will because he's going out there and he's wrestling every market he possibly can.
Yeah.
He's earning fans across the world, and I he's he's such a tease because every time I've tweeted, please come to Ireland on your world tour or something like that, he always likes it. So I really hope he is coming to OTT. I'd love to see him Scrapper Mania. I don't know if he has a date on Scrapper Mania's day. We don't even have a date yet, do we, for
Not yet, no.
Scrapper?
It's not
No,
official yet, no.
no. But I feel like he's someone who could be on that card. Hopefully, Joe is looking to get him in anyway. But Mustafa Ali is just he is one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Hmm.
He is. I genuinely do believe he is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he showed that with Robbie. And their exchanges, not just their high flying exchanges, their technical exchanges were very fun. And it was a really good match. And again, it's the same thing with the Luke Jacobs and JJ Gale match. Most shows that had been match of the night, but
Yeah.
because it was such a stacked card, and that's the thing. Like we were literally just going after another of great matches. There was no match on that card that I found that was anything better than great. Not
No,
even
they're
good, great.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. The Shingo and Trent match was just as good
Oh,
as
that was that was brilliant.
it
That was
was psychology, storytelling, fucking physicality. It just you know what you're getting with Trent Seven if you've ever seen Trent wrestle in person or
Yeah.
at all in these kind of matches. You know what you're going to get. If you're in the live audience, you're probably going to get a smell of deep heat as well. Like he normally comes out wearing the deep heat.
He's one of those lads who in the last like year or so for me has really come into his own as a performer
Mm,
and as a wrestler in general. Like we know what's coming up for him in OTT. Like he's got the world title match with Sammy finally
yeah.
going down. So that we both know that's going to be such a brilliant match because Sammy is the perfect opponent for him,
Hmm.
in my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
But Sammy might not agree with me there. Sammy might tell me that he doesn't want to fucking go anywhere near Trent Seven, but sure. Uh, yeah, it's one of those like that match was just seeing Shingo is just another thing entirely. He's so good. He's
It's
so good.
crazy. Somebody else who's so good is Zack Sabre Jr. Christ.
Like
Again,
watching him wrestle is just I don't understand it. If you watch him wrestle and you don't think that is like the most purest kind of wrestling that we have,
yeah.
just every transition, every submission, every strike, everything looks like it hurts.
Yeah, it's like a musical. Like it's just everything is just so perfectly timed, and you just like, how is he doing this kind of stuff? Without slipping up or with how do you remember all this? Like,
Yeah,
you can if you're an actor, you read a script, you memorize your lines, but you have to cut and retake. If you're a
yeah,
stand-up comedian, you're trying to remember jokes, and audiences are trying to heckle you. But when you're in wrestling and you have a 20-minute match and there's 100 or 150 moves that you have to remember in that 20 minutes, and if you slip up, people will
yeah.
the crowd will go, "Ooh, you shouldn't have done that," kind of thing. Like, but
And the internet will go rapid.
he messed up that he did 150 moves, but 149 of them were okay, but the last one wasn't okay.
Yeah,
That kind of shit. Like, but he it's very rare you see him messing up at all. Like those 150 moves are almost perfect every time.
yeah. He like it was the same with the match with Danielson. Like it was
Mm,
like his matches with Danielson, just watching both of them. It's like it's just like again, it's the purest kind of wrestling that you have in the sport. Technical wrestling will always be something that when it's done like that, it's impossible not to sit there and just
yeah.
go, just wow.
Hmm.
And Connor Mills really did keep up with Zach, and
Yeah.
that was very surprising to me. I know a good bit about Connor, but Zach is just like again, Zach is in that bracket of best wrestler in the world
Mm.
conversation,
Oh yeah.
and he's probably top five, top three if you really want to get,
He
in my opinion, anyway.
outside of the main, outside of WWE and AEW, like Will
He's
Ospreay
really
has left that gap for him.
he's he's the top guys in there. He
Mm.
will be for a while, and
Yeah.
I think Connor Mills just really did keep up with him, and I think that
Yeah.
was something that if you were watching that match, it was impossible not to notice. And and again, it's another absolute brilliant match. And again, I keep saying it. This card just had match after match that was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And this was something completely different to the main event. Obviously, this was the most unique match in the card because it was the technical wrestling bout.
Yeah.
And the thing that I really do like about what's going on with Zach's character now is he's starting to win with strikes more. He won with the two PKs against Connor. Connor
Yeah.
sat up after the first one, but the
Hmm.
second one put him down. So
Yeah.
after losing to Danielson at Wrestle Dream, he started to win a little bit more with those strikes. And again, beat Danielson last week. So that's in his mind. So it all makes sense
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Zach. And I just think he's going to be, until he gets signed by an American company. And to be honest, he's someone who could fit in either company because he's brilliant at what he does. He's a brilliant shithead heel. We've learned that very quickly, and he's just a lot of fun in all
Yeah.
capacity. But again, yeah, Connor Mills was very surprising for me, but I was very happily surprised by what I saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a bit about Connor Mills. When they were talking about he had a changing character. So he must have, I'm not 100% sure who he was like before this,
Yeah,
but I do like this character, whatever he was like before, keep whatever he's doing right now, because
yeah,
it's
I
it's
agree with
it's
you.
another one of those things that he'll get picked up somewhere down the line. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So the main event of all main events for independent wrestling, the end of Ospreay's independent run for now. He will be back in Wembley, as he said. But
Yeah.
my God.
Just, if I had to like say like if I want to say it's the greatest match I've ever watched, and a lot of people would probably raise their eyebrows at that. And I understand why, because obviously we've got the Omega and Okada trilogy.
Hmm.
You've got and all of the Undertaker Street matches. You've got just so many absolutely phenomenal matches. But for me personally, it was the perfect blend of great wrestling, great storytelling, and just emotions. Emotions. Like at the end of the day, that's what really sets these moments
Yeah.
apart. And I think they did a really good job of that. Amira was phenomenal as always. Michael was phenomenal. Will was phenomenal. They all just there was not one thing in that match, not one error, not one mistake. No, it was just perfect.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it's a perfect wrestling match, and I think Victor Perry, who runs the wrestling club, like
Hmm.
he was saying it, like literally you get to a point with a match like this where you just have to laugh because it's so
Yeah.
ridiculously good. You can't do anything else. And that is what this match did. And the minute I think before Amira got unceremoniously kicked into the barrier by
Yeah.
Ospreay, which I I I I I have to say Amira took some big
That
bumps in
was
that
that
match.
was crazy. That wasn't just a push and she fell over kind of bump. That was a
That was a
four full
foot on the
force.
chest, then
Get the
push.
fuck out of here, bump
Yeah.
like.
And from that moment on, when Michael had that moment where he saw it all and
Mm,
in storyline, in character, that was when that match just
yeah.
it just like it kept going. And I said on Twitter, it's like Dominic Toretto's gear shift. You think he's hit the max gears and they keep going anyway. That's
Yeah.
what it felt like to me.
That really did kick off the rest of the match. And it was brilliant up until that point as well. And then he
Yeah.
did the
Then
Sami
the
Zayn
emotions.
through the turnbuckle,
Oh,
tornado DDT. And I was like,
so
finally somebody's done it because Sami doesn't do it anymore. So I'm glad that somebody
yeah.
picked up on it. But and then we got the bleeding. Then we got more Amira getting back to her feet. Amira looked phenomenal with the crown coming out. Just
Yeah.
to actually mention the entrances, like
Oh,
Will's entrances with everybody coming out. It's like how where does he keep all this stuff? Because that wardrobe must be busting at the seams with all that
he
ring
has
gear. Like
so much, and it's not subtle, is it? His jackets
no,
aren't
it's
exactly
big,
small.
massive ropes that are 6 foot
Yeah,
long.
that's the thing as well. And Mike, like you said, both entrances, Michael and Amira looked
Yeah.
every bit the stars that they are,
Mm.
like absolutely phenomenal. And I genuinely felt the same way about Will. And I think the fact that he didn't come out to elevate it was a heel
Mm.
move in itself. Because obviously after the match he
Yeah.
obviously dropped it all, but beforehand he wanted to keep that going. So I think that's part of the reason why he didn't come out to elevate it, which I liked as well. But the entrance in general, it's just kind of you can just see how much the British scene means to him,
Yeah.
and he's talked about that after, but like just before. I think we should talk about the aftermath as well because it was
Oh yeah.
such a that was such a very beautiful thing as well. And but for me, the match just kept going. The Sega Mega Driver was I just kind of sat here just kind of like he would have Mad Kurt would have
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely loved that. Um and another spot obviously was the Hidden Blade Frankensteiner. It Osprey hits Hidden Blade, they both collapsed. Like that was brilliant as well. And some people were complaining they weren't selling. The clip cuts off before they sell for about 45 seconds to
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
minute straight of them both just being out.
Out.
So just it just everything about the match. Like I don't think I'll ever forget that match just for the simple fact that it was just that good. Like I think it definitely does deserve to be in the conversation for one of the best matches ever. Definitely one of the best modern matches ever. Definitely, I think
Independent in a
best
way.
independent.
Mm.
Take out New Japan, take out WWE, take out AEW, take the take out the big ones, and
Yeah.
just leave independent wrestling as a whole. I don't think there's a match in the US that could top that. So even old Ring of Honor, like I don't think could have top that because it was just
That match is good enough to main event any main
any
pay-per-view,
event.
any pay-per-view.
I think if Michael Oku, at the very least, if he, I think we both agree that if he's not signed, that's one thing. But if he's not on All In, if he's not at least
Oh,
defending the RevPro title on that card after what Tony watched him do, and what I know Amira doesn't really want to keep managing them, but their act is so perfect together.
yeah.
It's they're probably the best couple manager wrestler duo in, I genuinely don't know how long. And just bringing it back to the match, like Amira taking the hidden blade for Michael, like make no mistake about it, she did
took it.
push
Oh yeah.
Michael. She pushed Michael out of the way, and people were like, "Oh, it was a Will aimed for it." No, then Will didn't give a
He
shit
didn't give a
because
fuck.
that's.
Yeah.
But,
Push, get her.
and then, and that's the thing. Like the Amira stuff all came full circle at the end when Michael had the single leg crab in and Will's that close to the ropes. She just comes up,
Yeah.
flips the bird. Michael pulls and extends. The big ass grin and the clapping that I did just watching it on my own. Like I genuinely could talk about that match forever because it was just that good to me.
How many times have you watched it?
I've I've watched it twice. I've watched it twice. I watched it the day after just because I wanted to
Yeah.
see if I still felt the same way about it. And I did. I definitely did. And yeah, just if I was to show anyone a wrestling match, a wrestling trilogy to watch, I'd pick out those three matches that those two had together, and I'd just
Yeah.
say, watch this, watch the emotion behind it, and watch how they bring it all to conclusion. Just and again, I just bringing up another detail, even though I just talked about the finish. When Michael pulled him up from the pins,
Yeah. Yeah.
just the way the crowd responded, everyone knew what he was doing, everyone knew what was in reference to. And I think there's a lot of people who, well, a lot of people on social media who are being a bit, let's say, trolly by saying that it didn't have a story. Because if you thought that much didn't have a story, I'm sorry to tell you, you
They
don't have a
didn't watch.
fucking clue what you're talking about.
They didn't watch the
They didn't
other.
watch it.
They didn't.
They,
They didn't know
you're
what happened.
just, it's one of those matches. And Meltzer said it, and I agree with him. And I don't often agree with Dave on the best day, but he said it was one of the best matches of all time, and I have to agree. Like,
Yeah.
and fans agree because I know people are gonna probably shit on me for using Cage Match as a reference point, but it's one of the highest rated matches on Cage Match ever already, and it's got
Yeah.
hundreds of votes. Or I think it's at 200 or so
100
votes.
135 votes, 9.68 at the minute on Cage Match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that I can see that going up or down depending on
Yeah, as
who
more
votes.
and more people keep watching it, because
But if you're watching this and you haven't seen it yet, if you want to watch the whole show, if you have the time to sit down and watch the 3 to 4 hour show, I'd watch the whole show start to finish. But if you only have time, it is worth the money. It is worth the
40,
money to
40
pay.
47 minutes.
Yeah,
That's the duration of the match. It's worth the
give money
RevPro on
alone.
demand. 1 month
Eight,
subscription is all you need to watch.
£8 or something.
And
But
if you know, go back and watch the trilogy if you want, just to figure
yeah,
out what's going on, and
I,
it'll all
it's
make
it's
sense.
it's a match that if you watch it, you couldn't help but be a fan of Michael Oku
Yeah.
either. I think he's getting a lot of attention now that he should have got a long time ago. But I
Yeah.
think if there was anyone to have this match with Will, he was the perfect guy to do it. And I think
Yeah.
Will had this. And I think Will is a very smart man. I think we all know he is a very smart man when it comes to selling himself in this industry. He was a guy for a long time who didn't have the best character work. He had a character, he had
Yeah.
mic skills, but he didn't have that extra bit, that charisma that he has now. And there's there's a reason why he could kick Amira and hit her with the hidden blade, and people still cheer him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And
People
people are
tried.
still
People
and
thought about booing him. We're like,
yeah.
nah.
And after the match as well, just moving on to that, I think, so we can get into the chamber stuff. Um, just absolutely phenomenal. Just the way Michael and Amir, they both kind of almost looked like they were thinking about keeping the ring, but then they both
Yeah,
decided, yeah, well, we're going to give it to him. I think he deserves it, kind of feel.
yeah.
And you saw that all the way to the back when they were going. They kept looking
Hmm.
back at him, and and Will did a really good job as well. I classed the minute Will changed for the Will got back in the ring after he was sitting. I was like, that's when it kind of shifted. Right,
Yeah.
this is real now. And so yeah, and what he said, everything he said was beautiful. You can tell how much the British wrestling scene was
Ah,
meant
of
to him.
course, yeah.
And I think it was. I think the way he, I think based off where it was in the arena, I think when Will got on the mic, I think Tony was in the process of leaving
Yeah, yeah.
because where he was. But and just see what Tony was doing as well. We were talking about before we started recording, but like just see him there and see him supporting. And again, if he doesn't think to sign Michael Oku after that, I would be stunned. And
I'll be
Amir too.
surprised because Michael's, he was on the Jericho cruise
Yeah,
and he's been on the Jericho podcast. So, I'm not saying Jericho has a
he's
lot
the
of pull
oceanic.
in the
He's
AEW,
the
but he,
oceanic champ. Like
yeah. But I'm not saying
he,
like
he
Jericho has a say on who signs for the AEW, like, but when he's
but
giving that much attention to someone,
yeah,
that aren't signed,
and there's so many people in that locker room who know what Michael is. Like Michael
yeah.
said when I was chatting to him when he was talking about All In last year, he was saying like he knew most of the roster already just
Hmm.
from passing through. Like
Yeah.
so, there's no shortage of people in that company who go to bat for him, and people who complain about them overinflating the roster and so on. But if they can sign Michael Oku, Will Ospreay, Kaz, Okada, can't speak sometimes, and Mercedes
Yeah.
in a couple of months. Like, how do you even like how do you even match that? That's Danielson and Punk and Cole levels of just brilliant signings.
I know.
So
They just
I
need they just need to
so
figure out whatever they're doing with them, and to get them, they're a draw, but they need to be booked
yeah, I think
special, not just as a regular person on TV every week. It has to be a special appearance. You need to be wanting to tune in to watch them.
I think before we get to Revolution, Will Ospreay could be a babyface, a clear babyface in
Oh
AEW.
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think you can bring him in as a heel right now. I think that's what they're doing because like if you keep him paired with Don Callis, it's the worst decision you can do.
No, no,
You can't have that man weighed down by that angle.
no way.
Get him through the match with Takeshita because that is a match that I think not a single person on this planet doesn't want to see
Hmm.
as a wrestling fan. And it's just I think Will is someone who by All In 2024 he should be in the main event picture because he is that good and
It
I
will be.
think if he wins the title in the main event All In, I'm going to All In and I really want that just because I'm such a big Ospreay fan as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But it's a perfect storybook ending to kind of not even end. Well, it's his story at the end
It's
of
the
the day. He's
start of
he's
it, but
Japan.
yeah.
He's still very young, and I think people forget that he's only 30, isn't he?
Hmm.
He's only 30, 31. So he's still quite young. He's wrestled for a long time.
Yeah,
So his body is still, he's talked at length about his legs. But now that he's going to AEW, he has that money blanket under him. And Barry Bloom was the one who
yeah,
negotiated that
yeah.
deal for him. So we all know he's got his money. We all
He
know
he
Okada's
pretty
got his
he
money.
he pretty much said that in the promo afterwards as well. He thanked
Yeah.
Tony for changing his life because
He's not moving. He's not even
he's not
moving to the
moving. No, he's
US
not moving to the
because
US at all. No.
he can afford it. He can afford to keep coming back and forth because of the deal that he's got.
Yeah,
And I think that's incredibly important to remember that. But even before he had that blank, he was the best wrestler in the world.
yeah.
And I think we can all agree that he is at this point the best wrestler in the world right now.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, you've
absolutely.
got people like you've got Kenny Omega who's out at the moment. He's really him and Okada would be the only two that I really and obviously now Michael, honestly, that I really feel comfortable with saying are in that discussion right now.
Yeah,
Obviously, you've got people who are close, but it, imagine what's going to be under him when he doesn't work as much. He
I
can
know.
bust out some old spots, and like I can't
Well,
wait to see what happens.
we will do that next week. We are doing a
Yeah,
Revolution preview next
yeah,
week, so
yeah,
we will deep dive into what we think
yeah,
is going to happen at that. Like we said at the start of the show, we are here to talk about the Elimination Chamber in Perth. this Saturday, a normal hour
Yeah,
for people in Ireland. I know
10
you
a.m.
work American hours, Corey, so this isn't the normal hour for you. This is normally your bedtime. So you're gonna have to change your schedule to get stay up
Yeah,
for it or go to bed and get up early for it.
the way it's working is I've offered to cover it because it's so early in the morning for
Yeah.
all the American lads on the staff. So I'll be covering it on the Saturday, and then I'll be fucking doing my normal writing shift as well after. So yeah, I'll be watching the
Is
card very
there
closely.
is there a Fightful post show? Are they
I Sean put up a poll today. I don't know if it's still active when this goes up. But he did ask people. I'm not sure what it said on the what people did vote in the end, but I believe he said it was immediately after 11 a.m. or about 2, 3 p.m. So he's checking to see, but I think there'll definitely be a post show.
you should do it yourself.
If they want me on it, I'll go on it. But I'm not gonna push my way in. If people want to have me on in Fightful, I'm always happy
Yeah,
to
yeah.
come on. But I'm not gonna push my way on at the moment.
Right, let's talk about the card. We have there's only four matches, so there's I'm not expecting it to be a long show, maybe two and a half,
Yeah,
3 hours. The two chamber matches are obviously going to be like an hour each.
yeah. I
So we're starting off with the Judgment Day are defending the tag titles against the New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Uh,
it's it. There's worse names.
I
There's
know
worse
I
names.
know there's worse names, but they have British Strong Style. I don't know, see why they
Yeah,
couldn't just call them BSS or make up some variation of it.
I think you nailed it on the head there. Why they don't call it British Strong Style
Yeah, I'm
BSS?
not
It's just too
sure.
easy.
I'm not sure. Is that I don't know if they have a. Is there any some sort of copyright to British Strong
I
Style or?
I don't know, but it might be something to do with Trent, to be
Yeah,
honest. It might
yeah,
be Tyler not wanting to step on Trent's toes for something like that. But that match is going to be a lot of fun.
yeah. I think it's
I,
going to be
I
brilliant.
think I think whatever way you feel about Priest's character and what he's got going on at the moment with the Money in the Bank briefcase, he's a great in-ring wrestler, and
Yeah,
we all know
yeah.
how good Finn Balor
Mhm.
is. So I'm very much looking forward to that match. I hope that they do something where the Judgment Day, like I as much as I love seeing JD on WWE programming, I'd rather that it just be just straight tag match because they have again, like you said, four matches, one segment, so they have time. They have
Yeah.
time to work with. I just said let them do whatever they want to do because
Do
you've got
you see
four
the
absolutely
title
brilliant work.
change happening?
I'd like to see the titles change. Do I
Yeah,
see it happening? I'm not. I'm really not sure. But that's the kind of best way you want to be going into a title
yeah.
match. At the end of the day, you don't really want to know
I know.
which way
Yeah,
it's going
yeah.
to go. But
But
if you were to, I can see them taking the titles off Judgment Day, but I can also see them pulling a silly scenario where Bate and Dunne win, but they only get one of the titles, so they can
mm,
split up the titles. I
yeah.
can see them running something silly like that. Um, but that's the thing, Bate and Dunne are the kind of characters that would just split the titles for the sake of it as well. Like they wouldn't be really interested in having unified titles. They wouldn't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
care. They wouldn't protest too much in storyline, so on.
Maybe
Um,
a double pin or something, or a double count, or
yeah,
something
something
double
silly,
shoulder
but
showdown. Yeah.
Bate and Dunne will be stars regardless. We all know how good they are.
Hmm.
But I would like to see them win. I'd like to see this match get time. But the main reason why I want to see Bate and Dunne win is because I want to see Finn Balor and Damian Priest uh, go back into singles. I think that Finn is not being wasted in a tag team, but his contract is coming up, as we know,
Yeah, yeah.
and you've got to sell him at some point. You've got to sell him on staying
Do
because
do you still think there's a chance that Balor has stolen the contract from the briefcase when he ran off that time with it and signed his own name to it and is going to
I
cash
wish
in himself?
I really do wish because Balor would be infinitely more interesting as Mr. Money in the Bank to me than Priest. And
Yeah,
I think they really should have done that originally. Obviously, they couldn't at the time because
yeah,
Balor
yeah,
was feuding with Rollins. But if you really don't think Priest is capable of being champion, because it feels like that's how they're booking him at the moment, that they don't want to make him lose, but at the same time,
yeah.
they don't want him to win. So I'd like to see the tag titles off Judgment Day after this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a fun match regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. We will talk about the segment that's coming up as well, the Grayson Waller effect that's featuring Cody and Seth Rollins. Do you think is this leading to an impromptu tag match? I don't know if Rollins is clear to compete yet.
I think they're going. That's what they're planning on doing. I think that's what they're hoping is going to happen. I think they have to make sure that Seth is cleared first, like you said. I think that's what they're hopeful they can do it, because Seth did say that he wanted to be back by Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
He didn't think
he said 4 weeks, didn't he?
Yeah, he said that that Elimination Chamber he'd have hoped to have wrestled by Elimination Chamber, so he hasn't done that yet. So he obviously hasn't cleared yet. But if they can't get that, I imagine they'll do an impromptu match with Cody, because it depends on how Cody comes out. To be honest, if Cody comes out in ring gear, we all know. But if he comes out in his dapper suit, he's not going to be wrestling. Like,
I think I'm not sure. I think I was listening to the Raw after show with Sean and Denise this morning in the gym, and I think it was, I'm not sure, Denise or Sean brought it up that maybe there's an impromptu tag team match with Seth isn't cleared, but they bring out Bronson Reed because he's going to be a face in Australia if they brought him out to team with Cody just as a once-off kind of thing to get a pop.
See, the problem with Bronson is it's a scenario that's all dependent kind of on something that has absolutely little to do with him.
I know,
with his wife being heavily pregnant at the moment. She's due any day. I think someone said
that's why he can't travel.
So I as much as I'd love to see Bronson, it does feel a bit silly that there's not more Aussie representation.
I know,
when you have such talent. Grayson obviously is going to be pretty. I don't even know if he's going to get cheered, to be honest, because as much as he is entertaining, he still is a really good heel.
I'd say he'll get cheered, all right.
I think Theory will get most of it.
Yeah, Theory will definitely take it off. I'm not sure what they're doing with Theory and Grayson. I know they're kind of gelling, like, but I'm not sure where they go with them for character wise.
I don't either. I think they'd be a really fun first feud for Bate and Dunne if they won the tag titles. All right. But with regard to the segment, I think it's also possible that there won't be any match at all. I think it could lead to Jimmy and Solo coming out after what happened on Raw last night.
Yeah,
so
possible.
Roman isn't going to make that trip, but I think
definitely not.
We could even see Jay pop up. I don't know if Jay's making the trip, but I think there's a lot of scenarios in that match where there could be people who weren't able to fit on the card will be shown, because I don't think they can pass up Jay doing his entrance in a stadium of that size either.
Yeah. Was Jimmy did he get his passport revoked that time? Was he allowed to travel internationally?
I think Australia is different to Canada. Canada don't let in anyone with a criminal record.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the same in Australia, but I'd have to look into that myself. But I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them go over anyway. But I think they did a really good job last night on Raw when they reminded people they will start doing this now. And I think people were almost kind of wait till after Chamber for the attacks and the interactions to start properly. But
I loved it.
I love Pat's telestrator as well. I really hope I really hope that's a common thing.
I hope it comes back. Yeah, it was phenomenal. One match that we got the final participant for last night on Raw was the women's Elimination Chamber match. Raquel came back. She's back from injury. She's been out for a while. Are you surprised that she's the final participant?
To be honest, there was nothing to really suggest that she was close to coming back. And there was no real, well, at least from my perspective, I'm not sure about from Sean's or anyone else's, but she was out for a while, and she was out for reasons that weren't completely to do with injuries. It was just she was dealing with medical problems as well. So I'm happy to see her back. She's definitely not someone who I love or hate, really. So I thought it was going to be Jade, and unlike a lot, I don't see why people thought that her being pinned in the chamber would be like an absolute nuclear thing to get mad about. You easily have Bianca, Becky, Tiffany just have a bunch of finishers hit on her, and
Yeah,
then she's protected. Same with Jordan Grace was protected at the Rumble. But the match in general is very fun for me. It's very
yeah,
stacked. I think both chamber matches this year are they're both set up to be very, very fun matches.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a matter of how they're booked at the end of the day. But
Well,
for this one,
they're, sometimes the chamber matches you may get one number one contenders and the other one maybe for a title that it's not going to
voted, yeah.
change hands going into WrestleMania. It's foregone conclusion that the champion's winning.
I
The
think
women's one, I'm not sure. They're pre-telling like with Becky and Rhea. Is there a chance somebody
yeah,
else is going to upset Becky?
it'd be very silly, in my opinion, for them to have anyone other than Becky win.
Mm.
I think they want to have Becky win the match because um, they want her to have a big win going into because she's had a little while of just kind of losses.
Yeah,
So I think Becky is pretty safe bet to win it, like
yeah,
95%
yeah, yeah.
almost kind of way. But on the off chance she doesn't, there's not really anyone in that match that I wouldn't complain about winning. Yeah, everyone has a reason to go after Rhea at the
Yeah.
end of the day. And we actually we did actually so I don't know if we're going to be talking about that match in a bit, but so I won't go into that. But yeah, I really don't see anyone
How do you
I
think
really I
Tiffany Stratton, like how do you think they'll book her in that match? Do she going to be like you mentioned about uh
I think she's going to
Jade
be
earlier? You might have, she might get that spot where it takes everybody to put her down, kind of thing, where she looks strong.
I think Tiffany is going to have a moonsault off the chamber because
Yeah.
she's not afraid to do that kind of stunt. She proved that against Becky when she hit the swanton to the outside. That was a crazy spot, and I'd love to
Yeah.
see her do more of that kind of stuff because she is good at doing it. And yeah, as far as that, I can just see Becky getting the pin on her again, kind of just setting up that kind of
Feud after Mania kind of
that
thing.
that idea for maybe down the line that they could revisit. Like every
Mm.
time we've been together, been in a match together, you've lost kind of
Yeah,
scenario
yeah,
for
yeah.
Tiffany. But I don't know if she'll get a protected like elimination. But at the end of the day, it's a chamber match. Losing inside the chamber isn't that big
Doesn't
of a
really
deal to people's
yeah.
momentum unless it's within like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
So
they
like
squashed and the first two
yeah.
people in. Yeah, yeah.
So
So the winner
yeah.
of that will go on to face the winner of Rhea and Nia Jax. Um, is this a foregone conclusion
I think it is. I very much do believe that this is a foregone conclusion. I think it's all set up for Rhea to hit the riptide on Nia in Australia to get a massive pop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Nia will still be on the Mania card. I think they'll still find a way to put her on and I think she definitely deserves to be on the
She's
Mania card
been
because
she's been brilliant since she came back. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And this is I did not like her beforehand. I
Mm,
very much did not like her. I was very much in the camp that she just wasn't entertained, but she's been very good. And I think that match is going to take a lot of people by surprise because the emotions behind it with the hometown crowd for Rhea,
yeah.
they've been kind of treating her more as a baby face the last few weeks. Obviously, she's still been Judgment Day, she's still been heel,
Yeah.
but she's been less of a
Tweenerish.
I hate
Yeah.
yeah tweener, like the way she's been just running straight into the fire with
Yeah.
Nia,
Yeah.
like, and the interactions with Becky. She's not afraid of Becky. She wants to face Becky. Like it's just very. I think it's a very fun match, and I think it's going to be a match that definitely delivers to an
Does
extent that people will be surprised by. I think.
does this match close the show? It has to close it, right? That's the main event.
Oh, that's going to be something that's going to be very, 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 very talked about no matter what happens. If she doesn't main event, there'll be people who are complaining that she didn't. If she does main event, they're going to be people complaining that she did against Nia.
Yeah.
That being said, I think she should main event. It's in her home country.
Yeah.
She's one of the biggest stars in the entire
In
sport,
the
let
yeah.
alone in the company, let
Yeah.
alone in women's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think the show will end with Becky and Rhea face to face. That's
Yeah.
how I think it'll end.
That's
And I
that's that's how I hope it ends as well. I really do.
yeah,
I mean, there's no reason for the men's elimination chamber match to be the main event when there's no title on the line. It's not, this is the main, the women's title is on the line. She's from Australia. She's in her hometown. Well, she's in her hometown. She's in her home country.
Yeah.
She's in her own backyard. She deserves to be in a main event spot. If she's not going to be in a main event of WrestleMania night 1 or night 2, then having this kind of main event spot is all at least the least she deserves.
Yeah, absolutely, in my opinion.
Yeah. So speaking of the men's elimination chamber match, a stacked, absolutely stacked chamber match. Logan Paul aside, he's not a former world champion, but he's a global megastar if you're into YouTubing and whatever else he does.
He's good at what he does.
He's good now. I know he's had what 10 or 11 matches in WWE, but this is a stacked card for what it is.
Yeah.
Who do you think is coming out of this?
I think it's Drew. I think it has to be Drew. I think it's just got to be. And I think it's very, very interesting to me that Drew still hasn't signed. And they're still.
Oh, really? Is it not? I thought there was a report out there.
No, there's a report that he had signed, but it's not at the moment, as far as I know, that he still hasn't signed. There's a belief that it will get done. Drew, people from Drew's camp have said that they believe it's going to get done. And there's no reason to believe that it's not. Yeah. There's no reason to believe he wants to go to AEW or anything like that. But I still do think it's interesting that they're putting so much behind him when he hasn't confirmed that he it's interesting when you look at it though, that Drew and Finn, that situation, how different those two contract situations are. Like whatever about Seth and Becky's contracts coming up, we all know that they're going to get a big bag. They're going to get probably sign on for a couple more years.
Yeah.
But Drew is getting the red carpet treatment. He's got his character the way he wants it. He's getting marquee matches every week on TV. He's gonna have probably the most interesting storyline going into WrestleMania because he's been doing brilliant.
Yeah.
And then you look down the line, they're leaning really hard into that Punk angle. There's no way his contract, even with his injury time missed, is going to be extended past Punk's return window.
Yeah.
It's just not. So it's very interesting to me, and I think he is pretty much the favorite to win the Chamber. But I think the Chamber is going to have a lot of small stories interlinked. Yeah. I think you're either going to have Knight or Kevin Owens pin Logan Paul, and I think Logan's going to pin one of them. So I think they're going to go with a triple threat at Mania between those three.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because I do not see a scenario where Kevin Owens is left off that Mania card. But I also don't see a scenario where they don't put a belt on LA Knight at Mania. So I think Lashley's kind of there just to fill up the numbers. I don't think he has a chance of winning.
No, I think there's going to be a fucking carrying cross fucking interference, maybe, possibly, because they didn't really. I know they
defeat the entire purpose of the Chamber match.
Well, it's not uncommon. They open up Shawn Michaels came up through it, or they opened up the cage before they let somebody out and somebody snuck in, kind of thing. So it's not uncommon for it to happen. But it seemed like they were moving away from it with the Authors of Pain, but I'm not sure. It didn't seem like the feud was over either, even though it doesn't really mean anything.
From the taped episode of SmackDown, it does continue by the looks of things, but the match itself, I don't have a problem with anyone who's in it. I thought Sami Zayn should have been in it, maybe, but again, that's not a big gripe with the match. I'm happy with everyone who's in it. Randy being in the match makes sense.
What did they do with Randy for Mania?
I goddamn clue. I really don't. I think if Knight isn't facing Paul, he'll be facing AJ. So I don't know what Randy will be doing. Maybe Solo. There's not really much for him to do, but
he hasn't got a feud.
He missed last year.
I know.
So he'll be on it this year. It's just no matter who he's facing. He might end up facing someone from Raw. To be honest, someone maybe like Andrade. That'd be a fun match.
Yeah. Gunther, maybe? I don't know.
That'd be fun as well, but again, I don't really know how I feel about someone who has a surgically repaired back facing Gunther in the nicest possible way.
I feel that way with anybody who has skin facing Walter, or Gunther. They're going to lose half of it.
It's going to be pain.
Yeah.
So I really think Drew is winning that Chamber, and I think I think they're going to find a way to get Sammy into that match as well. I really do hope they do, because
Yeah.
the ultimate meltdown for Drew, I think, is after Sammy gets added. Sammy wins the match after Drew had to earn his way in. Sammy gets in some fluky way or something. I don't know, but I think into Mania out
Oh,
is going to be very fun.
Are you saying Sammy's winning the title at Mania?
I'd love to see Sammy win the title. I mean, Sammy's winning the title. It's just a matter of when Sammy is winning the
No. See
title.
if, but you see if that happens, there he's going to get a massive pop, right? We're going to be there. I can't wait to have. If it happens, it's going to be phenomenal. But if it's not Drew
Or
winning it,
Drew.
Sammy wins it, and
Seth need
Drew
Yeah.
is so pissed off that he takes out Sammy with the Claymore, and Priest cashes in on poor Sammy.
Like, we're such sadistic
No.
people for wrestling fans are so sadistic because they're never happy unless their favorite wrestler is getting at the worst stuff happening to them. Like, everyone loves Cody, but then there's the sector like Seth should turn on him. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, he shouldn't. He absolutely
Just
shouldn't. But
some
what do you
Yeah.
do? What would you do right now with Damian Priest with the briefcase without fucking throwing the briefcase away a second year or third year in a row? I can't remember how many years they've not cashed in successfully. Like, but does it if he doesn't cash in on a title, regardless of what the title is at this stage,
I
is there
think
even a point?
they have a way of getting it off without winning a title that's very easy, and I think it's coming up. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. I think they really are going to split Judgment there. I don't think they're going to be together much longer,
Yeah.
based off just how they've been laying little breadcrumbs that they're not working too well together. So the way I do it is just have them turn on Finn. That's how you start it. You turn on Finn, you take him out, he comes back as babyface, of course, because everyone wants to cheer him anyway.
Yeah.
Have him feud with Priest for the briefcase, have him win the briefcase. There you go. Now you have someone who you know can have main event caliber matches consistently. You have someone who the fans want as world champion, and on top of that, someone who you know you want to resign. Because
But if he feuds with Priest for the briefcase only has like a month or two left on
I
it, right?
know, yeah,
So
that's
who?
what makes it interesting to me.
Yeah. Would
That's
you?
what even if you start the feud off with Finn turning around to him, going, "You've had that for so long. Give me a chance." I said I'd move out of the way so you could have a chance after SummerSlam, but you haven't done anything with that. Give it to me, and then that's how you trigger the turn. Have JD be the one to initiate as well.
Yeah.
Then you've got that story link. To me personally, you have a lot of ways that you can take that briefcase off
Yeah.
Priest,
So
and you won't hurt him or
no
anyone else.
there's no scenario where he cashes in on Walter, right? I mean,
If he tries, every single person on every single wrestling fan is gonna go, "You're a freaking idiot!" Like, just straight up.
but after
It's
whoever Walter facing at WrestleMania, and he's
If I was a
beat
champ,
up,
if I was Mr. Money in the Bank, I'd rather fucking cash in on Roman and Gunther. At least if I lose to Gunther,
dragging off NXT title.
again, I'd still rather cash in on Roman, because both of those bastards are just pure pain.
Yeah, well, he's punishment Martinez, like, so he likes the punishment.
Yeah, but do I see it? I can see him cashing in successfully, but I can't see anyone being happy about it.
Yeah,
That's the
I
truth,
know
honestly.
it's poison chalice at the minute, unless
But
it's on someone who's really really over and they cash in.
yeah, I think that Drew is a safe bet for the men's chamber though.
Mm.
But I wouldn't be too surprised if they did go a different direction. But I do think it will be
Yeah.
Drew.
Okay, that's the chamber. Have we any news, anything coming up, Corey, that people need to know about, or anything that's happening at the minute?
And nothing really at the moment. Obviously, the double taping happened for NXT
Yeah.
last week. Obviously, Shotzi's injury was pretty sad. I
Mm.
had it confirmed to me that it is a significant injury. She will miss a good amount of time with it, but obviously that's down to her when she wants to reveal that to everyone.
Yeah.
And the taping last week, the reason why it was double taped, a lot of people don't are still asking about that, even though we did report it. But I'll just say again, The reason why it is because there's agents who do have to go over because they are doing tryouts in Australia.
Yeah.
There's production staff that need to go over because there are some people who cannot travel from the US. So some of them are brought up from NXT. Then you've got the stagehands who need to help put together the chamber itself. And on top of that, you've got the talent who are going over to do media.
Yeah.
I didn't have anyone specifically confirmed who was doing media, but there was an expectation that Braun will be going over. Not sure why he's going over, but I assume it will be because of media and because he just got brought up to SmackDown.
Yeah.
And in terms of the NXT Visionette, I keep getting questions about that. So I'll just say again, what I don't get, no one will say anything about this to me. The only confirmation I do have, and one that I've said repeatedly, is it is not Julia. Not a chance it is Julia. And so, yeah, that's kind of it at the moment.
Stay tuned to Fightful for more.
Yeah, pretty much. And it like we said at the start, if you are Irish or UK talent and you did watch this show, you can DM me on Twitter. My Twitter is at Corey Brennan FF, and we'll sort something out. Yeah, that's all I have to say, really.
Yeah, like it, like Corey said, like he's been killing it at the minute in the last few weeks with all the Irish and UK talent. So do please reach out to Corey or reach out to ourselves, and we can put you in contact with Corey if you are looking to come on. We have got a few interviews. We interviewed Leo Rush. That is up on the channel as we speak of this recording. Our Irish Wrestling Podcast episode came out as well this week, so stay tuned next week. We will be doing a preview show for the OTT's gaff party in Wolverhampton and Dublin. There's got some big matches coming up in that.
Yes,
Corey, you will be in attendance. I know you're looking forward to that.
Jay and Sammy, I cannot wait. That's literally when I talked to both of them, I said to both of them, that is a match that I really want to see. And then it gets booked.
Are you trying to say that Trent won't beat Sammy?
I don't believe Trent has a chance because I'm a very, 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 I'm very big fan of the draw, and I'm a draw groupie at this point. So yeah.
Don't say that. There's enough draw groupies out there.
True.
Lads, like we said in the previously, we always say it, stay tuned to our channel for more information. Like, comment, subscribe. If there's anything we've got your own predictions for Elimination Chamber, leave them below in the comments. Let us know what you thought about the RevPro show at the weekend as well, how good you thought the matches were, and anything else you want to talk about, just let us know below. If there's anything we need to talk about, we'll read the comments, we'll get back to you, and hopefully this time next week we will know who's going to Wrestlemania, and we'll be even more excited for traveling over ourselves. So Corey, as always, thanks for coming on. Corey will be back with us as well next week. We'll be doing every 2 weeks time we'll be doing an AEW Revolution preview show as well, so stay tuned for more. Thanks guys. Go for it.